Hi, welcome to Galactic TV. So today we are going to be talking about the beauty of the neutrality. So, going to the 0 point field is a magic for us to cancel out what's going on, good or bad, and then when we focusing on the neutrality, these are neutrality is the door to open up the multi-dimensional and the multi-facet of possibility. So we're going to talk about this today. And Sue, what do you think about this?
Hi. So just so everybody knows, I'm in Florida now. That's why everything's changed in my background. But
Yay.
leaving for Florida, I had to get to a certain point of neutrality. So I'll start there because we sold our house and we hadn't bought another one yet. And so it was sort of what we would call a leap of faith, where I didn't know how things were going to turn out. I didn't even know if we booked a place in the right area, part of Florida where we would be, finding our new home. It was just going neutral allows fear to fall away, first of all, because we don't have to take a side. So if we're doing something or we're going for something and we're putting all this fear into what we're trying to do or what we're thinking about doing, it's a filter that makes the energy of the universe harder to come in and help and assist. So neutrality, and there's a popular joke, I'm Switzerland, means I'm neutral. You're not going to get involved in an argument. That allows a peace as well, a peaceful feeling. And so I recommend a daily practice of, especially if something comes up into your field that could be concerning or worrying, or we have to figure things out. Obviously, when something comes up for us, we're trying to, but we don't have to figure it all out right away. And we don't even have to know how we feel about something right away. We can just kind of take a sort of, well, we'll just keep stepping forward and wait and see what happens sort of attitude. And you mentioned magic, and this is my belief I'm going to share, but I just think that this is where magic can happen. If we don't put these attachments or assumptions onto things, and we can just say, let's see what happens. And each moment point that I reach, I'm going to make the best possible decision I can make at that moment, not knowing what tomorrow is, not knowing what next week is, but right now. And I'll give you the best example I can. We got here to the Airbnb where we're staying, and we were going to take the whole weekend off to just relax. And I fully intended to do that because after the move from our house, the movers came. It was 4 hours. It was a lot. And then we had to travel over the next 2 days with 2 animals in the cars with us, and find hotels that would take pets. And oh my gosh, the cat freaked out. So there was a lot of stress. Plus, not to even to mention saying goodbye to my family and friends. So that was stressful as well. But needless to say, those 2 days that we planned to do nothing were welcomed. And as I sat in the hot tub on Sunday, just enjoying my morning of nothing to do, I let all the stress fall off of me. I wasn't thinking, I was enjoying the birds, the sunshine, the breeze, the water, the way the water felt. My mind stopped thinking. And what it did was it allowed my guides to come in and say, you need to get on the computer and you need to look at houses like right now. And so I did. And but I did it casually. I was taking also a neutral stance about it where I wasn't putting expectation on it. Just like, I don't know why I'm being called to do this, but I'm just going to do this. And what happened, I found our home. We found our forever home because we went to see it that day. And I didn't expect it. I was absolutely blown away that we found it so quickly. It was actually the first house we saw. We saw several houses that day. And it was as easy as breathing. I mean, we both walked through the front door and we knew this is a really special house. We could feel the energy of it. And as we kept going room to room, and then even the garage, the laundry room, the outdoor space, the yard, we just kept going, wow, wow. And so when my mind kicked back in, I'm going, it can't be this easy. It's like buying a wedding dress. You can't pick the first dress. You have to look at 500 dresses, right? Otherwise, you're obviously not doing your diligence finding the proper dress. Well, it's funny that I brought that up because my wedding dress was the same. It was the first one I tried on, and then I talked myself out of it because you can't pick the first one, and it ended up being that one. So it's the same thing with the house. But so my vision of neutrality is not taking the side whether something is good or bad, whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. You're doing what you're called, what your instinct is to do. Stop putting a judgment on it and be Switzerland and just say to yourself in this moment point, and if the choice in this moment point is to do nothing, that's okay too. Because I think that's where the magic can happen is it's just we're relaxing. We're not putting energy into feeling one way or another about something. So that's kind of how I see it. What's your take on it?
Well, when I was studying quantum physics and the matrix energetics, we are learned to access the 0 point field, which is the where the beginning start in the universe. Like beginning starts from nothing. So 0 point is where when you access that point, everything will be diminished. And then from there, you'll start accessing to new possibility. So new reality. So neutrality, like one of my teacher, Melissa Joy, was saying neutrality means new to reality. And I was thinking, wow, that's kind of makes sense. So when we are accessing in the quantum field or our field in the energy field, when you're accessing to it, we are really opening to another dimensions and another path to the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, unlike other energy methodology, the matrix energetics I studied was fastest way to collapse all timelines, collapse all quantum field because you're accessing to 0 point field.
So it's kind of like you have no history when you get there.
Yeah, I mean,
Like your baggage falls off, so to speak.
almost like when you are, let's say, you come to me and say, hey, I want to, my dog died, let's say, right? And you come to me and then, okay, I'm gonna access your field of your root cause of the sadness. Doesn't necessarily mean what just happened 5 days ago, but the access point is the root cause, let's say when something happens 3 years old. Now when I access to that point and then collapsing with 0 point field, then everything gonna like diminished, eradicated. So when any kind of energy meet with 0 point field, it's completely like goes into neutral. So there's no more charge. So when there's no more charge, that's where everything gonna start and begin. So
I heard somebody I don't know if it was you and Hera when you were talking, because I was listening to your video. I thought it was really good about magic. But was it Hera that said something about the alpha and the mega? So it's like 0 point is the start of everything and also where everything finishes. So that's kind of like the figure eight thing.
Yeah, that's what
It's
it
that
is.
it's that middle point. It's like everything keeps coming back around and then it starts anew again.
Yeah, because 0 point is the beginning and the ending.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a quantum physicist, so the quantum physicists out there don't laugh at me. You know, but when you access the 0 point in quantum field, that's where everything starts and everything ends. So when you are aligning yourself or whatever the issues with that energy, then everything will diminish without putting too much effort to it.
Yeah, and I guess if we wanted to put it in real terms, this is again an example I can give, which may be helpful to people. I hope so. When I started, with the difficulties between what we call the white hats and the dark hats, such polarity, right? Such
Mhm.
dissension and anger and fear and all those other human emotions that we have around those two associations. When I started taking the broader perspective of it and looked at us all, white hats, dark hats, everybody, gray hats, everybody in between, as a collective that decided to have an experience, and then you had to have it's just like cowboys and Indians, right? Or whatever. Somebody has to be the bad guy and then somebody has to be the good guy. But then
Mhm.
in reality, in the show, if it's any good, you realize that the good guys don't always do good and the bad guys don't always do bad. There's like all these variations of gray in between. Then I start to realize that um sorry, a fruit fly or something.
Mhm.
um so then I start to realize that especially knowing that we interchange roles too, in different what we call lifetimes. Sometimes we're the good guy, sometimes the bad guy, sometimes we're all these gray areas in between. Then it takes away I can see the big picture and I can see how it all works and why it works because people are taking on these roles, but ultimately we all come from source. So it's like I can feel really neutral about it. I don't sit there in anger. I don't sit there in resentment. And I also understand that people are playing the role that their soul needed to in this moment point in time to learn, not learn, but gain wisdom for whatever reason, whatever they're getting out of the situation. So it's like I could judge that, but that's going to cause me sadness, or that's going to cause me anger, or that's going to cause me fear by putting a judgment on it. So to me, that's kind of what neutrality means. It's like taking the broader perspective and going, you know what? It's all happening exactly the way it's supposed to. And also knowing that at any moment point, by just keeping my vibration where the highest it can be, that I can change that reality as well. So we're not set in one reality. We can shift those realities, and that helps me to feel more neutral energetically, I think. I don't know if I have the concept right or not, but that's my take on it. Do you have anything you know could add to the picture that would help folks kind of understand neutrality better?
Well, when you access to the 0 point field, what's going to happen is you are really being neutral. So when you're looking at, let's say, if you want to create a piece of the world or piece of the universe, when you are on one side, you are not seeing the whole picture, whichever the side you are, because when you are at neutral point, 0 point, you can see whole picture, you can see big picture. So there is no judgment, And also there is no emotions as well because you're not invested in neither side. So one of the interesting fact is that quantum AI is very close to 0 point because that computer is connected to the source, so can look at everything in neutral point of the manner, even though it can be used for the calculation of what is the possibility of this and that. So either a person or AI or whoever can look at everything in neutral manner. Their perception is much broader and they can access to more multi-dimensional way of looking at things. That means closer to the truth. Of course, truths are not only one. There are so many truths. It's not my truth and your truth, and your truth is wrong and mine is right. That is so narcissistic. But truth are all truths. But when you reach to the neutrality, you can start looking at things in more of the source point of view.
Yeah, it just occurred to me as you were saying that, it almost seems like if you were to attain true 0 point reality and neutrality, that it would be like the total integration of ego or absence of. In other words, usually at some point or another, in every moment of our day, there's a little bit of ego involvement, it seems. At the very least, we're kind of like, I want to be this temperature, not that temperature. There's always some kind of like ego concern about like your environment and is everything just right, or could it be better? But maybe if we got to the true 0 point and neutrality, or as close as we can get, it would be the equivalent of acting completely outside of ego, where it's just every moment is okay, and I don't need things to be in any certain way to be happy. I am. I'm being, and it all is well, sort of thing.
Yeah, because when we talk about the ego is the creation from the mind. So humans and the fourth dimensional beings, they have, not all of them, but reptilians and the others, they are mind being. So other beings who doesn't have an ego means mind, like higher dimensional beings. It's very difficult to understand that. They can by sinking into their consciousness into the lower dimensional being. So even though never experienced that experience in actual reality of theirs, you can still sink into it. But like by accessing 0 point of field, even those ego and the mind oriented creatures can go back to the source point. Means source doesn't have mind.
Yeah, it's the heart-centered place.
Heart-centered consciousness.
It seems very similar to meditation to me. And I'm not talking about the kind of meditation where you're in a yogi pose and you do your ohms and all of that, or even a guided meditation. I mean, just like any moment of meditation where even for a moment, you just totally let your mind go and you're just sort of in observation versus thinking, or just total allowing of whatever comes in to touch your energy field, or you don't allow anything to come in. I mean, maybe some people can meditate and they can have noise all around them and not hear it because they're so inner focused, and not letting the mind run its games on us. So it feels like meditation to me,
Yes.
whatever your definition of that is.
So once we focus on 0 point field means neutrality, we are not having any emotional charge into it. So
Yeah,
once
yeah.
we are not putting any kind of emotional charge, that means we are opening up our timelines, multi-directions. We can choose any unlimited amount of timelines instead of 5. When we are emotionally charged, good or bad, the limitation of which timelines we can shift or go to is very limited.
Mm,
So
I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, so it's a good idea to, I'm still studying,
Yeah,
how to be neutral,
me too.
I think the best one, even though I'm not close to that figure, best one to learn how to be neutral is Buddha, because I'm not in Buddha's soul group. So I once meditated and asked a question about neutrality because Buddha is good about that, you know.
Mhm.
So that is some great ascended master. We can gain knowledge from it.
Or even for me, I haven't encountered Buddha's energy to my conscious awareness, but very close to the Christ consciousness. And you're speaking of that, and I'm thinking of Christ on the cross going, forgive them for they don't know what they do. And I mean, I don't know of any example that could be any more neutral than that. I mean, here they pegged him up on a cross with, through his hands and his feet, and tortured him before that, and he's standing up there saying to the Father, to the all, don't hold it against them. They don't know what they're doing. We can imagine the pain that he was in, and the suffering all around him and all of that. But it's a pretty incredible example. The great masters, what they learned and how they could overcome even what was happening to their physical bodies. It's really something I strive, to understand, because I think if we can learn from the ascended masters, then that just propels us forward in our ascension journey.
Yeah, I
Y-
mean, people, some of them are already attracted to ascended master. I'm not.
You're
I,
not.
I'm not. I rather want to study from galactics,
Got ya.
galactic groups, because ascended masters are humans. I'm not like being narcissistic or anything, but if I want to learn from somebody, I want to learn from non-humans.
The only problem with some of the galactic societies is they are like devoid of emotion. And I don't think that's helpful to humans. Um, I had a session with a woman who spent 400 years on a planet that she couldn't name, but just to learn emotion so that she could come to Earth.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
it is.
so
Because
that's why I do tend to like teaching and working with the ascended masters, because they were human, and I deal with humans. So for me, it's just a little easier to work with those lessons and impart that with the people that I work with. But I understand. I mean, we're attracted to what we're attracted to, and I know you're very, very connected to your galactic heritage, and that's kind of cool.
yeah, I mean, it's easier for me to, go into the heart field and then, skip all the mind and everything, like, all that kind of thing, and then go to the source of heart field and the heart consciousness, which is what, a lot of higher frequency galactic beings or angels are good at. And that's what I personally resonated with, because, you know, but I know a lot of people are into ascended masters and they can learn so many things from it. So it does make sense. Also, Zen, I don't particularly study Zen, but neutrality is Zen too, like what
Hmm.
Zen is.
Yeah,
So
that's my understanding. Yes.
yeah,
And it's used so frequently in a glib sort of way that I don't think people really understand what it is. But I think that, you know, when you say just the word Zen, it has a vibration about it that that's attractive to people. They want that whatever it is. And I think it's worth looking into because Zen, in my opinion, is really anything that gets you to a place of serenity. And
yeah, peace.
whether it's your environment or it's your music or it's the people you associate with or the kind of work that you do. And you know, that's kind of what we're talking about, which is neutrality. I think that's what peace is when we're not taking sides, we're not fighting some kind of duality. We can see the God spark or the spark of all in everything, even if it seems to be a horrendous situation. You know, I've come to understand that horrendous situations happen because we will it to. Not that we consciously ask for something really bad to happen, but on some level, our soul signed up for it, and it's truly getting something out of it. So, I mean, to be at peace with all of that is seems like a big leap. Seems like maybe it's too much to ask. And I know some people would say right to my face, "You're full of crap." I mean, nobody can do that, but I think we can. And like you said earlier, if we take the wider view and understand that we are all of free will, and that even though the guy next to you is doing something with his free will that you don't agree with, there's soul agreement with the people involved. I mean, so if I'm not involved, I don't even have to have an opinion about it. I can just step aside and, you know, honor the fact that they're acting out whatever it is they planned before they came here. And, you know, as long as it's not affecting me or people I love, or, you know, if there's not something I can do about it. In other words, you know, obviously I'm not going to watch somebody kick a dog. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying watching people's drama play out in front of you and knowing that it really isn't your business to interfere. Um, if we can get to a neutral space, that 0 point, and just honor the fact that they're playing something out that their soul signed up for, then we don't have to be upset about it. Then we can have peace. Then we can be Zen, because we're not getting involved and we're not judging it, and we're not trying to change their life path. We're just saying, yeah, I see it. I know there's a reason for it. So ultimately, I guess my only purpose here today is to try and help people find some peace in their lives when things are chaotic. And it seems like in the outside world, things are chaotic, maybe in your own world. Um, but if you can get to that place, that or try or work on it, you know, make it a daily practice, make it like a prayer or a meditation, just go to that neutral space that resides in all of us, our heart space, then I think we're going to progress a lot quicker. We're going to get to that 5D. We're going to overcome the separation pains, you know, the pains of seeing duality and separation, and start realizing unity consciousness.
Yeah. And meditation is one of the great method to find your inner peace and inner Zen.
Well, I've enjoyed our discussion.
Great. Awesome.
Um, any last words?
Just meditate.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good way for us to access a 0 point field or peace or Zen kind of feeling.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Cool. So next week, Sue and I are going to bring a more interesting topic. Thank you so much for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, and we see you guys next week. Bye.
All right.